Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're putting a true heavyweight of the electronics world under the microscope. We're talking about the incredibly versatile, widely used, and ridiculously reliable BD140 transistor. Whether you're a seasoned audio tech or you're just firing up the soldering iron for your very first circuit board, getting to know this specific component is absolutely going to level up your hardware game. Now, right off the bat, we've got to ask, what actually makes the BD140 such a massive staple? I mean, why is this specific little chunk of silicon found in absolutely everything, from high-fidelity audio amplifiers all the way to heavy-duty motor controls? Well, by the time we finish up today, you'll know exactly why this component is the unsung hero of the circuit board, and more importantly, exactly how you can harness its power. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our blueprint for today's explainer. First, we'll meet the BD140. Then, we'll unpack how it actually works, look at some real-world applications, dive into power, heat, and saturation, and finally, we'll wrap up with how to choose the right replacement.
Section 1. Meet the BD140 Transistor.
So, when you fish a BD140 out of your parts bin, you're usually looking at a TO126 or maybe an SOT32 package. If you look at it from the front, reading left to right, the pinout is super straightforward. Pin 1 is the emitter, Pin 2 is the collector, and Pin 3 is the base. But hey, here is a very, very important physical detail for your builds. That collector is also internally connected to the metal mounting tab on the back of the package. You definitely want to keep that in mind when you're mounting it to a heatsink. Otherwise, you might accidentally short out your whole circuit, and nobody wants that. All right, let's talk numbers, specifically the maximum specifications. Notably, STMicroelectronics rates the maximum collector emitter voltage, or VCEO, at negative 80 volts. It can handle a continuous collector current of negative 1.5 amps and even take peak bursts up to 3 amps. But huge word of caution here. These are the absolute maximum ratings. These are the red lines. You do not want to use these numbers as your everyday operating targets, or you're literally going to let the magic smoke out of your components. Moving right along to Section 2, how the BD140 works. Now, what's really interesting here is how brilliantly simple a PNP bipolar transistor actually is when you break it down. Think of the transistor kind of like a plumbing system in your house. The emitter is the water main supplying the current. The collector is the drain receiving that current. And the base? Well, the base is the valve that controls the flow. For a silicon PNP transistor like our BD140, that base valve needs a tiny little forward bias of about 0.6 to 0.7 volts to crack open. When the base is pulled lower than the emitter voltage, boom, the transistor turns on, allowing a tiny control signal at the base to unleash a massive amount of current flowing right to the collector. Section 3. Real-world applications. Because it acts as such an incredibly efficient driver transistor, the BD140 is a true jack-of-all-trades. Basically, it allows a very small control signal from something like a microcontroller to manage a considerably larger load. Whether you're driving heavy-duty relays, lighting up massive LED arrays, running motor control stages, or smoothing out power supply circuits, the BD140 is essentially the muscle behind the brain of your circuit. But its absolute claim to fame, the gig that really put it on the map, is in audio amplification. You see, the BD140 is one half of a dynamic duo. It is perfectly matched with its NPN counterpart, the BD139. Because they have super similar current capabilities and voltage ratings, they're used together as what's called a complementary pair. The NPN BD139 handles the positive swing of an audio signal, while our PNP BD140 pushes the negative swing. Working together, they create this beautifully balanced, super clean audio output. Section 4. Power, heat, and saturation. And this brilliantly illustrates one of the most critical lessons in electronic design. Let's compare some numbers. If you attach the BD140 to a proper heatsink, keeping its case at a nice 25 degrees Celsius, it can safely dissipate 12.5 watts of power. But if you just leave it standing alone in free air, that capacity completely plummets down to just 1.25 watts. That is a massive 10-fold difference in power dissipation. Thermal design isn't just a recommendation here, guys. It is entirely non-negotiable. So the crucial point is understanding exactly how fast that heat builds up. The basic math for transistor heating is simple. Power equals the collector-emitter voltage multiplied by the collector current. So if your transistor drops 10 volts while passing half an amp, 10 times 0.5 gives you 5 watts of heat. Now remember our free air limit from a second ago? It was 1.25 watts. This means without a heatsink, those 5 watts will literally cook your BD140 until it burns up. But there is a clever workaround to keep temperatures down if you're using the BD140 as a switch rather than an amplifier. It's called saturation. If you drive the base hard enough, the collector-emitter voltage drops significantly, sometimes all the way down to just 500 millivolts. Going back to our equation, a lower voltage multiplied by the current means far less wasted power, less heat, and ultimately a much safer, more efficient component. Finally, Section 5, choosing the right replacement. Okay, you're repairing a board and you need a replacement. What are your options? Well, the BD140G is basically the exact same part, just a manufacturer variant. The -16 and -10 suffixes, those are just different gain classes of the identical 80-volt silicon. But pay very close attention to the BD138 and BD136. Yes, they're in the exact same family, and they share that 1.5 amp rating, but their maximum voltages are capped at 60 and 45 volts. They are only safe substitutes if you are absolutely certain your circuit operates well below those lower thresholds. We also really need to bust a common myth right now. You'll hear people say online that you can just swap a BD140 with a BD139. You absolutely cannot. As we covered earlier, they are a complementary pair. The BD140 is PNP, the BD139 is NPN. They're partners working together on the board. They are definitely not drop-in substitutes for one another. So to keep your repairs safe and functional, here is your foolproof checklist for swapping any component. Please don't rely just on a part number. You have to verify all 5 of these parameters. First, the polarity. Is it PNP? Second, the voltage rating. Third, the collector current limit. Fourth, the thermal power dissipation. And fifth, the physical pin configuration. If all 5 match up perfectly, you are good to solder. And honestly, it all comes back to this one number, 1.5 amps. Alongside its 80-volt rating, this robust current capacity is exactly what makes the BD140 such an incredibly reliable, medium-power champion. It's tough enough to handle demanding loads, but sensitive enough to be perfectly controlled by delicate logic circuits. Which brings us to the end of our blueprint. You've seen the specs, you understand the push-pull mechanics, and you know exactly how to manage the heat. So the next time you design an audio output stage or wire up a heavy-duty relay, will the BD140 be your go-to PNP driver? I really hope this explainer has given you the confidence to say yes. Thanks so much for learning with me today. Keep building, keep experimenting, and I'll catch you on the next one.